Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it. K. Hark, what's going on, buddy?
You remember?
Yeah.
Wait till I give you my first rap.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo.
Just roll with it now.
No. I don't do freestyle. No, I gotta be a little rehearsed.
Well, hello to you, fine sir. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well. How are you doing tonight?
I am outstanding, thank you.
You're enjoying that pipe, I'm seeing.
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you like the new aroma?
So far,
That's
yeah.
a first, right?
I've tried this blend before.
Okay.
But,
It's not brand new.
Gift from my daughter and son-in-law. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Daytona 500 this weekend?
I did not.
You didn't?
Nope.
Are you a Daytona man?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm not an anti-NASCAR person.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of a chant that they originated, but we'll talk about that later.
That wasn't at the Daytona 500 though, was it?
I don't know. I don't think so, but that chant that they created is pretty cool, and it still lives in infamy. Apparently, there was
probably will forever.
There was a live recording. A reporter was interviewing people in the stands, and somebody, as he asked, I think he asked the guy, what are you going to do after blah blah blah, or what are you going to say? And the guy said, that particular phrase.
Right.
But he didn't say how that phrase, started out supposedly.
Oh,
He said what it transitioned into.
I saw the interview.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was a woman interviewing whoever the guy that.
Well, that was the original one. I'm talking about at the Daytona 500.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a male reporter that was interviewing a guy, and the guy just, he rolled out with, there are some rocks that I still live under. I did not see that, or was aware of it. I was totally. Yeah, and it's one of those things. You know how I feel about it. I just I don't agree with things that are going on politically, and at the same time, I still have the respect for the office, and so I just don't think that that's a cool way to operate.
Right.
So, while it might be, the sentiment might be true about the individual, I think it's somewhat disrespectful about our democracy and our country, and now we're going to take a deep dive into shit we should just move on from.
There you go. Yeah. It's your topic tonight.
It is, and this is kind of a follow-on from the discussion that we had with Dave Bush. So he keeps coming up, right? So he got a mention last week when I called you a giggle fart, and now we're talking about him again. So he asked a question: are you more successful than you are significant?
Right.
Well, and that kind of causes you to pause. At least it did me, and others that have commented about it to me.
Me too.
Yeah. I think that's a great question. And so I wanted to take a deeper dive into that and have a conversation about what exactly does that mean, right? So if it caused us great pause when he asked the question, well, let's talk more about, what that whole scenario means and why it may have caused us to react that way.
Just speaking for myself, I didn't know exactly what it meant, below just kind of the surface definition of the words. I wasn't really sure of, that's why for me there was so much pause. But I am really glad that you chose this topic, because as I had a chance to dig into it and think about it this week, I'm glad that I understand now the difference between it
Right.
And it really does. It has made me think about, in terms of what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Right.
How am I approaching things, and is it with a attitude and thoughts towards significance, or just success, or both, or a blend, or what it is. Anyway, and I'm ready to discuss it, but I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for picking.
Yeah, that's cool, because it is, knowing, and we'll talk more about it. But once you know this and can interject that into your decision making process, it certainly will inform decisions that you make going forward, I think.
So what does it mean to you now that you've had some chance to think about it?
So ultimately, I think the easiest way to break it down is success is more of an internal, a you thing. It's how you have achieved things in your career, grown a family, bought a home, maybe material things.
Right.
But it could be climbing the corporate ladder, or climbing the ladder of whatever organization you're a part of. Those types of things I think might kind of make up the success realm, and it's really kind of you focused.
Yep.
Where conversely, I think significance has to do more with an external focus, and it's more about everybody else, the world, including everyone except for you.
Right.
I mean, you're in it too.
Right.
You certainly play a part, but it's how what kind of a mark are you leaving on the world? How are you adding value to the lives of other people?
Yeah.
Who's going to remember you when you're gone?
Right.
And why will they remember you? So, all of those things. And I think that's the biggest difference. So, success has to do with you and is internally focused, and significance is more externally focused on what is the bigger contribution that you're making to society as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all of that. And the only thing that I would add right now, anyway, is the idea that there could be, and I say that because I had this thought, and so any other person that's kind of going down this mental path could have it too. Is there anything wrong with success? And I'll answer my own question and say that I don't think there is, but some of the research that I did, and also what I believe and what I now see, is a lot of times success is a waypoint on the way to significance. So you kind of start achieving and start succeeding and start clicking off the goals that you set for yourself, and then at some point you go, now how can I take this success that I've had already and translate that into something that goes beyond just what I'm doing here. I think
I'd agree with that.
there are many examples of this kind of thing, and one this is years ago, but what is Andrew Carnegie's? He wrote a very famous little pamphlet toward the end of his life that he wanted to I can't remember, something about wealth, and it's a pamphlet on how to handle your money. And what he wrote in there was, this is on a piece of paper that was in his desk, which led to the book. The piece of paper in his desk said, I want to spend the first half of my life earning all of the money that I can, and I want to spend the second half of my life giving it all away. And so that was his sort of, I'm going to pass through success and earn as much as I can, and then I'm going to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
As one possible, it's not the only way, but that's how I'm viewing it.
Yeah, and I think that I think you have a great point. That it's not the only way, because I think that's certainly one of the paths, and I think there's I think they can actually parallel and run a tandem journey.
You bet.
Where depending upon what you're doing, and you're accomplishing both at the same time. And then I also think that the opposite is true. You can come at it from the other direction. I think that you can have success without significance.
You bet.
And you can't have significance without success.
Yeah.
Because I think significance in and of itself creates success.
You bet.
So there's that path too, right? So if you go the significance route first, then success is going to follow along with that, kind of part and parcel of that.
Right, but I guess then the question begs the question for me is, how do you become significant without being successful at something, right? I mean, there's gotta be some success there that enables you to leverage that into significance. And that's how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because I think, if you think in somebody in the, in a service field, or, teachers are a great example. And, they're certainly adding value and creating significance in the lives of other people by teaching children. And prior to being able to do that, they had to have some success along the way to be equipped to perform those duties as a teacher.
Right.
Yeah, so I can see what you're saying there.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm just saying that has been an easy mental handle, a way for me to think about it. And one of the stories, true story in my life that I thought about as I was considering this topic was just one. There's many I could share. I'm sure you could too. But leaders that have been over me at certain points in my life. One of them was on a ship that I was serving on. So I reported aboard the ship, and the commanding officer was there. I was not the commanding officer of this ship.
Right.
He was there, and he had been there for a year, and he had another year to go. So I spent my first year with him, and I spent my second year with a different commanding officer who reported in halfway through my assignment. And the difference between these two gentlemen could not have been greater. The first guy was very focused on his own success, and it was all about anything and everything that he could do to make the ship look good so that he personally could benefit, get promoted early, all of the things that come with being a successful commanding officer of a ship.
Right.
But it came at a price, and the price was the rest of the crew.
Right.
Because if you made a mistake, especially a mistake that exited the skin of the ship and that became known to anybody outside of our little steel hull,
right,
he would come down hard on you, and in ways that were, well, just unreasonable. And so I remember watching this going, wow, that's kind of, well, it is what it is. The next guy came aboard, and in an instant we went from it's all about his personal success to it's all about how can I make this crew better? How can I make this ship better by investing in the people? The focus was on the people and their success. It wasn't on his own personal success.
Right.
And you can imagine what
the end result was even better.
Even better.
Than the other guy, I'm sure, because the focus was different.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of us can think of examples like that where that happens. But to your point, if your focus is the significance, and I'm not saying that there are times in my life where I've done things knowing that I wanted to accomplish something that helped others, but I never put it in terms of the vocabulary of success versus significance. I will from now on. That's one of the reasons I like it, because it makes you stop and think, what kind of impact am I trying to have here?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that people, it's, I guess, kind of a counter argument to that is people that are wired that way are already doing it, already creating significance in the lives of people. Right. Now, I think you can pursue significance with intention, and at the same time, I think because of your character and how you are as a person, what you value, I think significance is a byproduct of that in a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really great when you sort of discover yourself being significant and not really knowing that's what you were doing. It's just kind of how you were wired.
Right.
And that's a cool one, and I'm sure everybody has that in their life.
Yeah.
But it really is, and I watched. There was a TED Talk. I don't know if you saw that. I found a TED Talk on a guy who spoke on this.
I was going to say you're gonna need to be more specific, but about significance.
About significance versus.
It's like there's a lot of TED Talks, man. Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, significance versus success.
No, I didn't see this one.
And anyway, I won't get into the whole story, but what happened was it was just real quick. There was a business that was becoming very successful, and he, as a young entrepreneur, was very excited about the success that he was personally experiencing as a key player in this new business.
Right.
And just as he's getting ready to have a big party and big celebration on their amazing success, they got sued by a major company. and it kind of rocked their world.
Right.
And one of the other people that he worked with said, "Congratulations, you're now important."
Right.
And
Yeah, that's a compliment,
it's
right?
a compliment.
You get sued by a major corporation,
Right.
you're
You've
scaring
arrived.
somebody.
You have arrived.
Right. You're making somebody feel threatened.
And that for him was sort of this, wow, now this company is not just successful, it's significant.
Right.
Because it's having an impact. And it was a good product. It was a medical product that was helping people live better lives, and literally saving lives. And so he's like, wow. Then he understood the difference between the two, and he said, I like significance much better than just the success, because it does last much longer.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Several lifetimes versus your own. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, you think about it, I guess if you ask yourself the question, and I said something to this effect earlier, but, who's going to miss you when you're gone?
Mm-hmm.
Other than your family, right? So, and your family might not, depending upon the relationship that you have with them.
Right.
But let's say you have a good relationship with your family. It's a good, loving relationship. So besides your family, when you're gone, who's going to miss you? Who's coming to your funeral? Who's going to think about you after you're gone? Who's going to have a void to fill in their life after you've gone?
Right.
Or who's going to think of you fondly for many years left to come in their lives because of the impact you had on their life?
It's a great question to ask yourself. And I thought of you, actually, because you recently quoted Zig Ziglar when you said, you will get everything that you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want out of life. That, to me, is the definition of living a life of significance, because the focus is out there on everybody else. Stuff you're doing with the motorcycle club. I know it feeds some of your own personal desires and those of your brothers and sisters who are a part of you.
Right.
But it's very also externally focused, helping others.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
significance. This podcast is focused on external. We're trying to pass on the wisdom of the ages and help our audience, who is soaking it all up, and we love that about them. So it's thought about that too. All kind of ways you can.
Yeah, we appreciate the feedback, and for those that might not know us personally and have the opportunity to give us direct feedback face to face or in some other form, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast. Hit us up on our website, thegraybeardchronicles.com. Shoot us a message there. Share your thoughts on the episodes that we have and any topics you'd like to hear us talk about. Because ultimately, we're doing this for you to, like Kevin said, pass on the wisdom of the ages. To help you learn and do things differently, and maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that we and others have experienced in our lives because of not knowing or choosing to willfully ignore the advice of others.
Yeah, it's life is a lot easier when you learn from those who have gone before, for sure.
Right.
And yeah, you don't have to personally experience it. You can learn. You can learn a lesson without having to get the scars.
Yes. But sometimes you just gotta have the scars.
Yeah.
Right. Because stupid should hurt.
Have you ever heard someone say, if I could just help one person, or if I could just save one life, or if I could change the behavior of just one person, then I have succeeded?
Start with you.
That's right.
Right?
That's
I mean,
right.
that's the one person, right? Because truly, when you start with you and you change your life by changing your behavior, your thoughts and your behaviors, you will change the lives of other people.
Yeah.
And that will magnify.
Right.
That will multiply.
Another example that I just recalled was years ago. I don't remember why, but for some reason I got very interested in understanding the founding of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and it's really an incredible story. But the mother lost her. I think it was a daughter. Pretty sure it was a daughter to a
That
drunk
sounds
driver.
right.
Yeah. And I was watching a lecture that she was giving years later, after Mothers Against Drunk Driving had become, the incredible machine that it is, helping out many people. But she said, if I can stop one person, make them think to not go get drunk, get on the road and go kill somebody, if I can do that to just one person
Right.
and save one life. That's what reminded me of the question that I asked you is, have you heard somebody say that? She said it. She said it is, if I can help one person, then I've been successful. And, now she's helped many, many.
Right. I think you and I have talked about it, because I know, like at speaking engagements, I'll share with somebody, I'll say this out loud to the audience. I'll be like, I don't know who you are. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, but there's one person here today that is specifically here to get the message that I'm going to share with you today.
Yeah.
Not sure who you are, not
Right.
sure when that message is going to be delivered, because I don't know what it is either.
Right.
But when you hear it, you'll know.
Right.
So pay attention throughout, because you don't know when it's coming, and I don't either.
Right.
And yeah, that's you never know when you're going to change somebody's life, though.
That's right.
I mean, you're the things that and sometimes you don't get the feedback.
Right.
And I'd say actually most of
Right.
the time you don't get the
No,
feedback.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely remember that as a child, sitting in church, listening to the preacher going, did mom and dad tell him what I did?
Right.
And is that why he
Right.
included that in the
Right.
sermon?
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
Is he stalking us?
Yes. Wow, they must have told him. I've been dimed out by my own parents. That's why he said that. I think he was looking at me too when he said it. Anyway, that's
Oops.
to your point. That yeah.
Yeah. I think it's something great for all of us to think about, and it's kind of a self-check, and providing that you have some interest in making a positive impact in the lives of others, and making that positive contribution, and so folks will remember you when you're gone, or appreciate the things that you've done for them. And if you don't care about any of that stuff, then I don't even know why you're listening to this podcast.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it matters, and I think that it's a good thing for folks to just give themselves a self-test on every now and then.
I agree. And I would like to emphasize one more time, I am a huge fan of teaching people, thinking about myself, helping people be successful. So I'm all about personal success, and you should be too. I mean, personal success is wonderful. But if your drive toward being successful is all just about you personally, and it's not about the greater sphere of influence that you live in, that's where you need to check yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. Because, we want people to be successful. That's part of the reason we're doing this, so that they can live better lives, more successful lives. But it's not just about you. It's about that entire bubble that you live in.
It's about making the world a better place.
There you go.
It's about being kind to one another.
Right.
Spreading the love across the world, as big as that world is for you.
Right.
As much as you can.
Right. There you go. That's what I have on this topic.
I was just going to wait and see how long that awkward silence went as we just were staring at each other. It wasn't long. It was only brief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's something we could probably, banter back and forth about for an indefinite amount of time. And I think we've covered it, as thoroughly as it needs to be covered. Just something to think about, to look in the mirror, and maybe use as a informative data point when you're thinking about how you're going to do things from this point forward in your life, what you're going to spend your time doing, who you're going to spend your time with, so on and so forth.
And what's the impact of it going to be?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's going to miss you when you're gone?
Who's going to miss you when you're gone? You should write a country song about that. You're from Georgia?
I think there's probably one out there somewhere already.
No, I want your song. I want yours.
All right.
All right.
I'll
And then
work
have
on
your
that.
daughter sing it.
All right, I'm good with that.
You write the lyrics, she can write the music.
All right, challenge accepted.
All right. There you go. Cool.
Who's gonna
I'm
miss
the
you?
inspiration.
Who's gonna miss you when you're gone?
Yeah.
All right,
There you
I'm
go.
down. I'm down. It's recorded out there in the public realm. I've committed to that.
And there has to be the word significance and success.
Oh, absolutely.
Somewhere in the song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the one thing that we also that I think needs to be mentioned is, and this came up on David's podcast too, is the dash, right?
Yeah.
So, You know, how are you spending the dash? And I know that in some circles that's been overused. And you know, if you haven't heard that, you know, what we're talking about is you have a date of birth and a date of death, and in between those two is the time frame that really matters. That dash between those two dates, and how you spend the time in that dash is what really matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I said, maybe a little overshared out there in the personal development space, but yeah, I guess you really can't talk about that too much.
Probably because it works.
Yeah,
That's why.
Certainly
it
does.
Gets the point across. It's just a whisper.
Yeah.
Your life is just a whisper. Here and gone in no time.
Yeah. Although it's the longest thing we've ever experienced to date that we're aware of.
Our lives?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're right.
I mean, it is when you think about it. You know, I always laugh when people say life's too short. Really? It's the longest thing you've ever done so far.
That's a good point. Well, there you go.
You know?
You're right. It is.
You know, now, I mean, I certainly understand when people, you know, pass early and so on. You say, you know, that was a life, you know, they were taken too soon or it was cut short and whatever. I get that. But when people say, life's too short, do it now. You know, really? I mean, longest thing you've ever done.
Okay. Thank you for that perspective.
You know, there's always an other side to the coin.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, good discussion.
Yeah.
What are we talking about next week?
I don't know. Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you don't?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to keep that one a secret for now.
All right.
But it won't just be the two of us. We'll give you that.
We'll have a guest.
Yeah.
Special guest.
Yes, indeed.
All
Looking
right.
forward to that conversation.
Me too.
But until then, and I'm going to say it right this time, no matter who you are, where you are, or what you're doing, don't forget to push this button over here.
You need help. You need my help.
Yeah, see, I was so focused on saying it right this time because I jacked it up last week. No matter who you are, where you are, or what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time to enjoy the ride.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.